Okay, so this is more on the Jenny Ellison protective orders. The previous video, you might check wherever you're looking about. I had filed a protective order on Jenny's behalf against a fella and an individual. Okay, I say that because they both got revenge protective orders against me. So, what happened was, I filed it. Then I filed, like I showed you in the previous video, there's fraud on the court. Oh my gosh, they entered it wrong, the one they served Jenny. I filed motions to dismiss the one that was served on Jenny. I filed many motions. They were all ignored. But when the other side of the 8 protective orders I got filed a motion, they would get a hearing. I wasn't even notified of the hearing, not by the parties or the court. They had hearings without my notice, and there's nothing I could do. I let the court know. I let the civil deputies know. It doesn't matter. The Jefferson County courts are rotten to the core. Okay, so we had a court hearing, and I don't want to talk about all of it. I want to talk about this one point. So I'm trying to see how to do this one point. Okay, so Judge Rimson said, okay, well, Jenny's not a vulnerable adult, Reverend Crystal. And so you're not her victim's advocate. And so you have no standing. So she named out all the things really slow. I'll show you those videos. I have all the hearings of why Jenny Ellison did not qualify to be a vulnerable adult. Okay. Now she does, and Rimson is not a doctor. Her doctor refused to testify, Dr. Bruce Tapper, because he was scared to death of Libby Winstrom, and he has secrets of his own. Okay. So we got into a bit of a spat. Did I go on a tangent? I did. Anyhow, she said Jenny Ellison is not a vulnerable adult. Now, she qualified under ADA. She had a lifelong thing. She qualified under all the laws. But even if not, she's still got mental health issues. She's on disability. She's stressed out. She's in danger. I'm trying to file a protective order for her. And Rimson said, well, because she's not a vulnerable adult, you don't have standing to file a protective order against her. So your protective order against the fella, not the individual, but the fella, is dismissed. Okay? So then the next hearing, same day, was the one that the fella had against Jenny. This is very important. Listen closely. Judge Rimson said, well, the protective order the fella has was because Reverend Cox filed a protective order for Jenny. Now, Reverend Cox is not Jenny's victim's advocate. She doesn't get to speak for Jenny because Jenny's not legally a vulnerable adult. So, Mr. Fella, your protective order against Jenny Ellison is dismissed. So that same day, we won't go into all that because that's for other videos, but so then after that, she turned to me and she made the whole hearing about me and let the fella talk on and on about me, all kinds of lies, didn't have to prove anything. And she gave him a protective order against me because she said what I do online is illegitimate and she don't understand it. And I have a pattern in history and I'm obscene and I'm lewd. And the poor fella that, was part of attacking us and organizing our attack at the Julie Jamon event. Well, see, he was innocent and I hurt his little feelings. I hurt his reputation. Didn't have to prove it with any documents. I thought you said you weren't going to talk about that, right? I'm not going to talk about that. Anywho. So that hearing was over for that day. We came back 2 weeks later, and there was another hearing for the individual, right? So I filed a protective order on Jenny's behalf against the fella and the individual. We went to a court hearing. Judge Rimson dismissed the protective order against the fella because I didn't have standing to file mine and his was in revenge. She didn't say revenge, but his was in response to my filing. So 2 weeks later, we went back and the individual, she had a whole completely different story. Completely different case law, completely different everything. First of all, she gave the individual a protective order against me. I didn't know the guy. He came to my house to do an interview. I put the interview online. I tried to get a protective order for Ginny, and Judge Rimson said, well, you shouldn't have tried to help that woman, and you're bad, and that was unlawful, so she gave him a protective order. She removed my online content, which was a whistleblower interview with the Touchstone Rescue and a whole bunch of stuff that incriminated Libby Winstrom, right? That was in an investigation. I filed in her court. This is in an investigation, a criminal investigation. She made me delete it and give him a protective order against me, okay? That very same day, that very same hearing, I got a video of that too. She issued a protective order in favor of the individual and against Ginny Ellison. So remember, the other guy, she dismissed it saying, well, that was in response to Crystal's. But the individual's was in response to mine too, but she gave him one against Ginny. Now, the reason why? Well, first of all, if she dismissed the first guy's, then the docket would go away. They wouldn't have to address that there was fraud on the court. They'd served the one they filed wrong. I filed a whole bunch of stolen property. I filed a ton of evidence on the docket. Well, all just goes away if she says, nope, you don't have standing, it's dismissed. But then 2 weeks later, with the individual, you know, the one Judge Mack says that I'm unlawful because I warned the police and the judge and got a protective order and posted an interview online warning the public that the individual was dangerous. He said, well, I posted all that because I'm condoning him being very dangerous. Remember all that one? Jefferson County Court's corrupt to the core. So anyway, yeah, that individual got a protective order against Ginny. Then as soon as he got it, right, he cried. He even cried in court, this big 6-foot tall. He cried. He was so afraid of us, right? Then he went to her house. He stalked her online. He made it so she got evicted, right? He taunted her. He just kept at her and at her and at her. Courts don't care. The people they gave Eric Winstrom protective order against Eric, then they taunted him and stalked him and droned him. And the police helped. They said, yeah, I don't see no problem with that. Then they went and peeked in Eric's windows with no search warrant. We're going to find something. We're going to find something, right? This is a special privilege, and the corruption in Port Townsend, it's just really dark. So the moral to this one is, and the message that I want to tell you, is that Judge Rimson was hypocritical. The two men, the two same stories, I filed them at the exact same time, exact same circumstance, exact same reason. One of them she dismissed because the docket had incriminating evidence. The other one she gave because she wanted to remove incriminating evidence, all to protect Port Townsend corruption. Stay tuned for lots more. And if you got a tip, email me, ReverendCrystalCox@gmail.com. Now, Reverend has 3 E's. Okay. I love you. Bye.